At the end of my edition of the Yoga Vasishta, which is the one published by the Divine Life Society and translated by Swami Venkatesananda, there's something called the Laghu Vasishta, which was compiled by Abhinanda of Kashmir. And it says here that it gives a condensed version of the text. There are summaries of the main sections of the Yoga Vasishta. It doesn't seem to me to make much sense to summarize the Yoga Vasishta. The Yoga Vasishta is something that you immerse yourself in. But if you want a summary, if you want an idea or a feeling for what it's about, you just need to open any page, particularly a non-narrative section, then you'll get a summary. This Laghu Yoga Vasishta seems to me to just be an extract. It has all the feelings of an extract of the Yoga Vasishta rather than a summary. And I wasn't going to bother with it, but some of it seems to me to be additional material rather than a summary of it. So I'm going to cover some of it. And the part I'm going to cover is about halfway through, on page 747 of my edition, and it's a daily reading for 25th of December. Vasishta continued. There is nothing, either within or without, which is distinct from consciousness, known as the object of consciousness. In other words, there's nothing separate from consciousness, which consciousness is conscious of. It must all be of the nature of consciousness. There is a notion or a movement in consciousness itself, which is known as the object of that very consciousness. So when consciousness actually exercises its own nature, that's when the notion of other arises. That's when the notion of an object arises. Just as one dreams of one's own death or one's travel abroad, even so consciousness looks upon itself as its own object. So if you dream of your death, this is quite a dramatic event, or if you dream of travelling abroad, then you've distanced yourself from yourself quite remarkably. And this is what consciousness is doing. Another simile that occurred to me is like consciousness is like a magnet. It'd be good if I had a magnet here, but I don't. Let's just say this was a bar magnet. A magnet is one thing, but it's got two poles within it. We normally call them a north pole and a south pole. We could cut the magnet in two, and then we'd have two magnets. It'd still be one magnet, but the one magnet, when it's split in two, starts attracting itself, or it starts repelling itself. So the shift in consciousness is like the nominal splitting in two, and this whole dynamic then takes shape. And within the one magnet, there are a large number of magnets. Theoretically, I think there is a limit, but we could probably describe it as infinite. And then all these magnets will start interacting and creating patterns of forces and pushing each other around and all the rest of it. But there's only the one magnet. There's only the one magnet, which we describe as having a north pole and a south pole. And this is how consciousness works. Only as long as this is not understood does the object seem to be endowed with its own reality, which constitutes samsara. So when you understand it, there's lots of magnets moving around, attracting and repelling each other. That's samsara. But when you understand its nature as one magnet, then you're free from that. The removal of this misunderstanding is liberation. Contact with and experience of objects is sorrow. In other words, when you think these objects are real, and when you're either attracted to or repelled by such objects, or by such beings, then that's sorrow. Non-contact while remaining fully aware and active promotes happiness. That which remains when there is no contact with or experience of objects, and when there is no inertia, is yourself. It's strange, isn't it, when you say something like, everything is of the nature of consciousness. Wood, metal, it's all consciousness. It seems inert. These objects seem to have their own inertia, their own independent substantiality. It's this conviction that we need to explore and examine. We need to remove the conviction in the solidity of what's out there, or what's apparently out there. And we can do this by understanding that all we are truly experiencing is either motion or resistance to that motion. It's from this that we build up notions of inertia.